birthday night, NCC 1701 Chris. Oh my gosh, yes, enjoyed Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 2, John Dorsey. I don't know why I said the whole thing. Oh. Alright, oh come on, let's see, let me lower that down, and this one, there we go. Hello everybody! Oh, where's my music? Music, come back! There it is, there's my music. Should get like some elevator music for one of these streams, one of these like do 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 boo do 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 do, just a little chill elevator music to go on in the background, drive you all crazy with its banality. Hello everybody, welcome. It's good to see you. Who's here? Just Carowin, good to see you. Actually, let me just pop this up so my eye line's a little bit better for you for the camera. There we go. Cappuccino Crafts. Oh, Cappuccino Crafts. I'm sorry. It's been a rough couple of weeks for me too. I'll talk about it. If you're a patron, you already know what I'm talking about. But there's some. I'll speak about what I'm referring to in a upcoming video because I wrote it all out in a video because that's just what Jessie does. But yeah. Long story short, it's been a couple of rough weeks for me too, Cappuccino Crafts. So it's. I'm sorry that you've been going through something similar, my friend. But happy birthday, by the way. Happy 50th anniversary. Happy 50th birthday, NCC 1701 Chris. It's good to see you here. Welcome to the stream and happy birthday, my friend. Let's see. Who else here? Miss Wicked Wolf. Good to see you, Molly. I know I sort of sang it a bit earlier, but welcome. Or oh my gosh, I can't speak. Congratulations on the new job. I hope it's going well so far. I hope it's really nice making you happy and keeping you very pleased, Molly, because that makes me very happy that you got a new job, and hopefully it's exactly what you're looking for. Who else is here? Oh, Nader Tot, good to see you. I haven't watched your review of Star Trek Picard Episode 2 yet, but I'm looking forward to it. It's good to see you, Nader Tot. Speaking of which, everyone should go follow Nader Tot, who's another YouTube creator on here, does really wonderful work, and it's good to see him here. Words are hard and overrated. We don't need words. Words? Where we're going, we don't need words. Who wants words in this world? Like, by the way, before we get started, just so people who may be new here know what this is my weekly chat stream where every week I spend about an hour just sort of talk with everybody. I answer all of your questions. It's kind of like a Q&A sort of thing. Ask me anything that you want. We can ask about tougher topics, harder topics. I had a whole rant about Texas and Florida, as I could totally talk about more again this week as well if we want to. Or we talk about silly nonsense like how much I want to see more of Obi-Wan Kenobi's daddy silver fox beard, because I have thoughts and opinions about that. So that's what this is, just a little Q&A, ask me anything, talk about anything that you want to, what the chat wants me to. Ooh, my eyes. Ooh. And then also, just the one last note on that is that super chats are always appreciated. Super chats do help me pay the bills. They do help me, do the things that I do on this channel. So that is helpful if you do super chats to support. But there is no pressure. I try to keep an eye on the chat as best as possible to answer people's questions who are not super chats as well. Yeah. So that's generally the whole idea of what this is. And turn off my phone because it just turned on. So yeah, what do we want to talk about today? Jessie, who's your celebrity crush? Who? Too many? Too many. I mean, probably. I have a big crush on Ethan Peck. I really do, but we haven't seen much of him. But Ethan Peck, I've always had kind of a little crush on. Who is my celebrity crush? I'm like trying to think of like other. Here's the thing. I can tell you who my celebrity crush is now. Well, it used to be. Way back when I was in high school, I had a big crush on Hayden Panettiere from Heroes. Like, big crush on her. Like, super big crush on her. It was kind of a problem. And then also Trunks, who was an anime character. Kind of a problem. And now, maybe this is just, like, me being more open with my sexuality, but, like, I feel like I've grown, like, most of my celebrity crushes I found to be older guys. Like, I used to be, like, into, like, femme-presenting people of my age when I was younger, or slightly older than me. But now I'm really into older dudes. So, like, Anson Mount as Pike was, whoo! Whoo! Jonathan Frakes as well. I have a big crush on. So yeah, I don't know what that's about, but older silver foxes. Definitely a turn on for Jessie. So there we go. Me for yeah, CB Arthur, me for Trugs too. Did you hear that Disney has been donating funds to the Don't Say Gay bill? So Miss Wicked Wolf, just to talk about that. Yes, though it is not as direct as that. What is the case, and I will say I'll just quick also direct you to Council of Geeks will have a video going up, I believe, Saturday morning about the Don't Say Gay bill and Disney's connection to it, and then also James Somerton, who is an excellent video essayist, you should all go check out. He also recently did a video about it as well, going into the intricacies and details and specific of the Florida Don't Say Gay bill and specifically Disney's relation to it. It should be noted, Disney, and this is not me, by the way, this is not me giving Disney a pass. I have many harsh words about Disney, but just to be clear, Disney did not give money to the Don't Say Gay bill. What they did do was give money to the people who helped sponsor the bill, who helped write and sponsor the bill through Florida's legislature. And then from there, they gave it to those people probably at the beginning of their campaigns, most likely because those politicians, Republicans, are likely to give Disney tax breaks in the state of Florida, which Disney has a big connection to because of things like Disney World for obvious reasons. And then the big problem from that is that Disney, under their new CEO, has said pretty much nothing about the bill, and has also sort of doubled down on saying nothing. The only thing that he has said is that he's had, and this is the even most concerning issue of this, is that they have not stated that they will stop funding these politicians. They also have not stated that that they're going to do anything about say anything about this bill. The only thing that has happened after immense pressure from within the company is the current CEO, whose name I'm blanking on off the top of my head. I remember Bob Iger. This is the new one after Bob Iger. He has said that he had a conversation with DeSantis, and in the statement that he said with DeSantis, and this is something that actually really angered me deeply about this, is that he said that, Governor DeSantis of Florida said that he would work to make sure that the bill didn't cause any undue harm, quote unquote, on the undue harm to the transgender, non-binary, and queer community. Paraphrasing, but the word unduly was used. Which, few things. Number one, if you know what that bill is, and you've looked into what that bill is, sorry, I'm going to go on a rant here. If you looked into what that bill is, there is no way that that bill does not cause some sort of harm. And I'll talk about the bill in a minute, but there's no way to work to make that bill not cause harm. The whole intention of the bill is to cause harm to the LGBTQ community. That's the purpose and the intention of the bill. So there is no way to not do that. That is what that bill is for. And David, thank you so much for your super chat. I'll check those out in just a second, but I just want to finish this comment. So that is what those bills are for. Secondly, when you say something like undue harm, we hope it doesn't cause undue harm to the LGBTQ community. When you look at what a lot of people in Florida are saying and what many people talk about the LGBTQ community about, that were you look at stuff like Texas and Idaho, where trans people where parents trying to affirm care for trans kids are labeled as child abusers, even though they're just working to get the basic care for their kids and also just treat their kids as good parents and give them the ability to explore their identity in a healthy way alongside therapists and doctors, is absolutely horrible. And then you'll have the governor of Florida's press secretary, I believe it was her job title, literally call anyone who supports who is against the Don't Say Gay bill, which relates to all Democrats, which by the way, not all Democrats are against, which is another problem we should have. But she says, anyone who supports the bill might as well be child groomers. She basically says, this bill is an anti-grooming bill, and so if you don't support the bill, you're a child groomer, or you support child groomers. So when you're saying that people who fight back against this disgusting, horrible bill are related to child groomers, and then you have someone say, we hope this doesn't cause undue harm, what that actually does imply is that LGBTQ people are due harm. That there is some sort of harm due to the LGBTQ community. Sorry, I'm getting a rant about this, but what that implies is it quite literally implies that there is some sort of harm due to the LGBTQ community because we're LGBTQ, because we're pushing back against bills like this. It's absolutely disgusting and wrong. Absolutely disgusting. So, Yeah, and Disney's repeated lack. So that's horrible on just the law side, and Disney's repeated lack of willingness to do anything. The CEO of Disney's lack of willingness to do anything, say anything, push back against that in any way, while also trying to win LGBTQ people's money with this faint, nothing representation in their films and selling rainbow flags in Pride Month. It's frankly infuriating. You don't get to try to earn LGBTQ people's money with rainbow flags and just surface level representation that can get ignored and erased and censored very easily. And then on the other hand, help fund politicians who do this sort of thing, and then speak up and not speak up and do anything about it. So, and thank you, Bob Chapek. Thank you. That was it. So that was my rant on that. I could also do a whole other rant about how the bill works as well, because there's a whole other rant there. But I want to talk about some of these super chats because I missed a couple of these super chats. So first off, David Johnson, you gave 2 super chats, and I really appreciate it. Heart to you, my friend, sending you all the love. You said hello. It's good to see you again. It's good to see you, David. Sorry, I was on a little bit of a rant there. I do appreciate you. And then Ed 2024, do you like to repaint? I actually don't paint all that much. I wish I did. I feel like I would enjoy, like, just painting more in general. I feel like it's a very, like, relaxing, thing to do. So I feel like I would actually like to paint more. That would actually be nice. But no, I don't actually do that much with it, much painting. I actually do any, like, physically artistic stuff. I mean, obviously, videos are artistic. But in terms of, like, graphic design, coloring, painting, I don't do much of that. And I feel like I would. Maybe, like, coloring books. I would definitely be into coloring books. I think there's a Star Trek Lower Decks coloring book. I need to get that. Is what I should get. I could spout legalese words and star phrases all that I did for a living. Oh my gosh, yeah. No, legalese is always a pain in the ass because it's always about just the exact wording of things and how that manipulates the entire meaning of things and just like little words, and it's just frustrating because it's like, can we all just like not get caught up in the little words of things and actually just talk things out? It's just legalese just frustrates me. I get it to a degree, but it's just so frustrating, especially when it's people's lives. Stay on 10, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. Said, I know this is random, but I think it's hilarious that Bug Angel says it's not cool to be trans, but sells hats that say trans pop. Right? We're going to talk about another important thing. Thanks for the plug. Yeah, Vera's vid is really, really good, and I've seen it. It's very, very wonderful, so you should check it out. Council of Geeks video. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, I did a whole video on Buck Angel, so I'm not going to go much into him, but Buck Angel is a fairly prominent trans man figure in the trans community who was fairly popular and well-known for a long time because he was in porn, and he got his start as a porn... as a porn star, and then also started speaking towards trans issues and being a trans activist, but has recently been more and more known for his pretty horrible trans medicalist views. And again, we could talk about trans medicalism in its own whole thing, but basically it just says that you need to have some sort of mental health issue and need to seek some sort of mental or some sort of physical medical transition, whether it be surgeries, whether it be hormones, something like that, in order to be legitimately trans, without understanding that trans is just being that can be part of it. Like for me, I had gender dysphoria and I've sought medical intervention in order to help me alleviate gender dysphoria, and that's part of my transgender journey. But for many people, it's just as legitimate to not have that, to have gender dysphoria or just a desire to present yourself in a different way. Because all it requires to be transgender is to recognize that you don't align with the gender you were told to be from birth. That the world tells us from birth that we should be certain ways, that we should fit into these boxes, that we should fit into these like tiny gender boxes of like, you're born a boy, you're born with a penis, so you need to be this way. And to be trans, all that it is required, quote unquote, to be trans, and it is just to be like, this doesn't fit me. It doesn't even have to be, I wish to be the opposite gender or quote unquote opposite. I don't like using opposite, like to be another, like to be the binary opposite gender that our society says is binary and completely different, even though genders are not opposite each other. They're all tangled up in each other. But it also could just be presenting, just wishing to present in a different way, different pronouns, can be seeking medical transition, things like that. So yeah, so transgender is just a big umbrella term for a myriad of different experiences that just speak to pushing back against the way society types tries to put us into aligned paths throughout our lives. And recently, just Buck Angel has just started tweeting more, saying like being transgender isn't cool. And let me be clear about this: being transgender is cool. It's also cool to not be transgender. If you're cisgender, that can be cool too. But being transgender is cool. We need to tear down this sense of like, oh, trans is something to pity or to hate or be scorned. Even when pain and dysphoria and mental health problems are part of your journey as a trans person, as it was for me, it's still pretty cool to be trans. Like, I would not change a thing about me. There were certain times in my life where I'm like, I wish I was born cis. It was very much part of like my mental health journey. It's like, oh, I wish I was cis, and it was caused me a lot of like frustration and agonizing at that. But now today I am, and I know that this is part of my journey. Not everyone's where I'm at or where we'll ever get to be, where, and that's totally fine. You don't ever have to be. You don't even have to agree with me. But I find that being trans, I would not trade being trans for the world, because it has just informed who I am. My outlook on the world has given me a unique vision on the world. I think I just care about it so much. It's just part of who I am. Anywho, thank you so much, Stay Hump, for that. I'm going to keep going. I canceled my Disney Plus and Hulu subscription. I'm no longer going to Disney World or Disneyland. I just hope the Universal Studios is better in comparison. Miss Wicked Wolf, hot take. I do think, setting aside the horribleness of those companies, and that's totally great that you're doing that, Disney World is a lot of fun. I like Disney World, but I kind of like Universal Studios better, to be honest. The Harry Potterness of it aside. I actually like the rides better, and I like their like lines better. Like, honestly, some of my favorite parts of rides nowadays are the lines. Like, a line that tells like a good story is so much fun. Like the Simpsons ride line, a lot of fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. Charlie Marlowe, non-binary voice actor. Heart to you. Welcome to the stream, by the way, new friend. I think you're new. I haven't seen you here before. At least if I have, I might have missed you. Apologies. But welcome. Harder to stop feminizing my voice at work. Scared. I'm sorry that I'm sorry that's it's an interesting thing that happens with, at work. I mean, we talk about it in other contexts, but like the type of version that we put on for ourselves at work because we want to feel safe. I mean, I don't know how you present Charlie, so I'm not entirely sure of the context of that, whether you're trying to feminize your voice so that it matches your gender presentation more, or you're trying to feminize or stop feminizing your voice so that it doesn't match your gender presentation more. It's either way, it's adjusting your outward desires and way that you wish to exist in the world for other people in order just out of safety concerns. And that sucks. It really sucks, especially since, as you say, voice actor. You're a voice actor, so like your voice and how you speak with your voice is very much like a part of your job. So I'm sorry, Charlie, that sucks. I'm sending you love, my friend. Matthew Gray, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, Jessie, I am traveling this week, but it is interesting being in Idaho, where a year ago I figured out I was trans, and being back in the state the day their House legislation passes the anti-trans bill. Yeah. Oh boy, I'm sorry we're talking about so many tough topics today, and I'm sure it is rough, Gray. For those of you who don't know, Idaho recently passed, I think it's going up to the governor to be signed now. I'm going to be doing a video on this next week. It is a bill very similar to Texas in that it is a bill, trying to label parents who seek gender-affirming care for their children, which, by the way, is just part of being a good parent, caring for your child. And often, by the way, especially for kids younger ages, doesn't require any sort of medical transition at all. All it requires is presenting differently, allowing your kid to wear different clothing, trying maybe different pronouns, maybe using a different name, maybe speaking with a therapist if they're able to afford that. And then maybe when they get older, closer to puberty, maybe with a doctor's consideration and help, maybe going on puberty blockers, which is a temporary thing for the most part. And then once they get older, maybe going on hormones, seeking surgeries beyond that once they're an adult and can consent to those things. But for the most part, especially at younger ages, there is no surgery involved. So the bill labels it child abuse to just let your kid express themselves, which is part of what being a child is, trans or not, is horrifying and honestly heartbreaking because it's kids. The trauma that these kids will carry because of things like this. I mean, I was just listening to a podcast from NPR earlier today where they spoke to some of the parents in Texas dealing with this. And it broke my heart hearing the parents talk about their kid in two different ways. One parent that they interviewed said that my kid, this felt like another day to them. And not in a way that's like, oh, it's not a big, it's like this sort of legislation just is what they have to deal with. That's a kid who I believe they said was like 10, where just dealing with that is every day. And then the other parent, they talked about how their kid was terrified and scared, which is, again, another form of that pain that kids go through. And then not to mention the pain that the parents go through for being investigated as child abusers, which, by the way, the first parent investigated in Texas under their their investigations into this was someone who worked for the same area that investigated child abuse claims. So the person they investigated was someone who looked into child abuse claims and would know what child abuse actually is, which their parenting isn't. It's just abjectly gross and disgusting, and it honestly breaks my heart. And more specifically, the even worse part about Idaho, and I don't even know how they enforce this, but Idaho in their bill also states that a parent seeking to leave the state to get care for their child would also be charged with the felony. So even if parents decide to say, oh, I'm going to leave the state to get my child trans-affirming care, which is already a privilege that many parents don't always have, considering how much money it takes to do that, they already will also still face felony charges. Now, I don't know how that's enforceable unless the parents are coming back to the state, which is, they leave and get care and come back. But if they move, I don't know how that's enforceable in any way. But yeah, it's horrible. And I also wish to say to anyone who says like, oh, well, they just move out of the state or something like that, just keep in mind that like doing that is asking families and kids to be uprooted from their communities, which in some cases can be done, but also costs money. Which not everyone's privileged to have, and even if they are privileged enough to have it, it still costs them a lot of money, putting a tax on being transgender, and then also the trauma of just rooting for your community, your jobs, your place that you live. Yeah, it's just not easily done, always. Anyway, sorry, I'm just catching up on the chat here. Heart to you, Ed 2024. Thank you so much for your super chats. Again, you said, opinions on parasocial relationships. Are your patrons, acquaintances? What if your message with a celebrity? Are you a celebrity? It's a kind of an interesting sort of deal, right? Parasocial. I mean, this is a whole topic. I'm not going to get into all of the intricacies of it, but it's just something I was even talking to. I was speaking of a celebrity. I was talking to someone today doing an interview that I'll reveal on Saturday. When it comes to the audience, when I was smaller, I could know each and every one of you. And there are many of you that I know who have been with me for a long time that I do know fairly personally. And a lot of my patrons, especially since that is a community that is much smaller, I do know a lot of my patrons, and I do talk to them, and I try to be generally available as best I can to patrons and everybody as well best I can. I can't always respond to stuff because there's just more, but that becomes more and more as I've grown. And the more that I've grown, the more I am unable to give specific individual attention to each and every person. And that sort of, it's hard for me as a creator because I like having that sort of individual attention, but also knowing that as I grow, that what I hope to give to people is being a nerdy dork who's also trans, and that sort of representation, that message of caring and nuance and all that stuff, that it needs to become something that becomes a little less individualized and more open. But I also still wish to have individualized experiences with people, and try to do that. That's why I try to call out people's names in the chat as best I can, and say hi to people as best I can. I'm not gonna be able to say hi to every single person, nor give every single person individualized experience, or do that level of work, but it's something that it's important for me to at least try my best to give as best I can, while also still taking care of myself in that. And then in terms of messaging celebrities, I mean, it's the same sort of thing. Like, there are celebrities that I've met, celebrity. I don't think there's huge celebrities that I've come to meet. But there are some people that I know that I'm like, oh, we have an acquaintance. We talk. Sometimes we hang. I'm going to Star Trek Mission in Chicago in a few weeks, and there's a couple people who I looked up to for a really long time who worked on Star Trek. And I'm gonna have a beer with while I'm there, which is interesting, sort of the parasocial becoming social, and just me parasocialing them and them parasocialing me to a degree. It's a complex dance, and I think it's always going to be fraught with issues, but I try to do my best to care about people, care about myself within that, also navigate the ethics of that, of not taking advantage of anyone in my audience, of not doing anything unethical myself. But it's always like trying to make sure that you're walking that balance and making sure you're taking care of yourself and others and trying to do its best and understanding that there is a parasocial relationship that can be beneficial but also can be dangerous for both sides. So it's a whole thing. Yeah. See, we're talking about the Don't Say Gay bill, so I'm just catching up because I saw some super chats and I just wanted to answer that question. And by the way, good to see you, Vera. But I'm going to did I miss any super chats? I think I know there's a bunch that I haven't seen, but I think I might have my screen. If I miss someone's super chats, the next one that I see is from Owen. So if I miss someone's super chats before Owen, let me know and I will check it. I think Chloe had one, so apologies, Chloe. Chloe, if you had a super chat, let me know and I'll respond to it in just a minute. Tag me in the chat and I'll take a look at it. I won't see your response to this live, but you're legend. Wait for it, Derry. Live long and prosper, stay safe. Oh, Owen, thank you so much. You are legendary. Doing a How I Met Your Mother reference, which I loved that show. Probably it did not age very well, especially the character of Barney, but I still have fond memories of How I Met Your Mother. I have not seen How I Met Your Father yet. I haven't heard good things, but there you go. Let's see. Coral Rausch, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, thought I'd let you know that I referenced your Trek guide video while talking with a friend, getting a friend into Trek with TNG and DS9. All the Trek is great escape from anti-trans news. Yes, exactly. Obviously I love Trek. I'm glad. I'm really hoping that's what that video is for. That video I hope will live on in perpetuity to help people get into Trek. So please reference it if you don't know how to get in Trek or want to figure out how to get in Trek or have friends trying to get in Trek. Reference that video because I made that to try and be a useful guide to anybody who wants to get into Star Trek. So I'm really glad. Yay! I also tried to make it dorky and fun, so I hope it's fun with that. Carla, the cinephile, heart to you, said, "Can I share a GoFundMe? I need to go to the doctor and can't afford it. How do I go about doing that? I can't remember that. Remember from last time. I'm sorry. There used to be a list that I wish to I had in my down below that I can add to. But Carlisle, please feel free to share the link if in case I miss it, because the chat automatically blocks links just because people could share untoward things. But if I trust you, Carlisle, you've been here for a while. So please, if put the link in the chat, moderators, in case I missed it, can you just allow that link through? And if anyone wants to help Carlisle and help fund Carlisle, please send Carlisle some love and support, because Carlisle has been a wonderful support of this channel for a very long time. So please send Carlisle some help if you can. And also, Carlisle, tag me if you have a Twitter, Carlisle. I think you do. We did the last time we did it. Tag me on Twitter and I'll share it out as well as best I can. Checking up on here. On a lighter heart to you, Chris. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, on a lighter note, what's your favorite sci-fi book series or sci-fi book or series unrelated to TV, based on or adapted to? Okay, so outside of things that have been brought to TV, because I was gonna say The Expanse would probably be up there. Dark Tower would also probably be up there too. Good question. Very good question, actually. Because a lot of the things that I've gotten into book series wise have been related to TV, or movies in some form or fashion. You know, this has had a movie adaptation. I've just been thinking about. I don't know if it's a favorite, but I one I really really like, and I've been thinking about a lot lately, actually. And I don't know if it's like great fantasy, but I really love it. Is the Dragonlance books? I really love the Dragonlance books. I know there's been an animated movie, but who cares? I haven't seen it, so I don't even consider it. I really liked the Dragonlance books, like especially the second trilogy, the Twins trilogy, is so good. I love the character of Raceland. I think is one of the most unique characters in all of fantasy literature. He is such a great character, But that's fantasy. You're asking sci-fi. Because again, the answer I would go to is The Expanse, even though I know it's a TV show, but I've read the entire book series, and it's probably my favorite science fiction book series. I'm going to have to go with The Expanse. Because here's the other thing, too. And just being open with all of you, I actually haven't read a lot of science fiction in a while. I've read a little bit here and there. I used to read a lot more as a kid, but actually I read a lot more fantasy because a lot of my job here is talking about science fiction. So I talk about sci-fi, I write about sci-fi, my job is a lot of sci-fi. And so when I wish to escape from science fiction, when I get off, not escape, when I like try to shut off from work, I actually read more fantasy than I do read science fiction, to be honest. So I actually read a lot more fantasy than I do science fiction, not because I just like science fiction, but because fantasy is a nice like break from my day-to-day work, even though I like both. There was a good science fiction book that I was reading, though. I'll recommend one more to you. It's about alternate universes, where I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it's called The Worlds Between, but I'm trying to remember what it was. I'll give this one recommendation because I just read it, and it's really good. The Space Between Worlds. That's such a great look. It's a book about alternate universes and this girl who works at this company that like they go to alternate universes in order to steal things from them. But it's also one about privilege, because only certain people, you can only travel to different universes if you've died in that universe. So like these people find people who are often at the edges of society who have most likely been killed in other universes, take advantage of them and force them to go to other universes to steal stuff. And that's obviously the most marginalized people. So there's this interesting look about like the life that could have been, people that you could have been, but also about how people take advantage of marginalized people and the pain and suffering that marginalized people go through. It's a really great book. The Space Between Worlds is very good, and I would highly recommend it. So John Dorsey, heart to you, said, you have helped me, a white cis trekker male, better than just any other YouTuber, better than just about any other YouTuber, learn things they should have already learned. We grow. That is, yeah, we're all on it, John. Don't ever think about it being what you should have learned. I mean, we all should have learned more beforehand. I mean, there's things that I should have learned before I'd learned them, but we're all on our learning journeys, and society keeps us from learning certain things about being trans, about the world, about ourselves. And so that's just part of it. So don't feel bad. You've learned now, and I'm glad I was a part of that. And we're all learning and growing. As long as we keep challenging ourselves to learn and to grow and to be better people, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So, yay. I'm glad, John. That's wonderful. Geek Filter, me too. I'm so sad that you were not going to hang out at Mission Chicago. We need to talk. Hopefully, text me again. I know you texted me earlier today. I've been busy today, but we'll talk. But yes, I am sad that we're not going to be at Mission Chicago. Carmen says, do you think LGBTQ people in the U.S. should be able to flee to Canada as asylum seekers? I mean, yes. Yes. I mean, obviously, I feel like borders are bullshit anyways to a large degree. And I feel like people should be able to move, especially if the area that they're moving from is not safe for them. Again, the legal logistics of that are difficult and hard, but I do think there's a case we made that people could move to Canada as asylum seekers because of the way this country treats trans people. Yeah, it's a complicated question that I would have to look into more, to look into the legalities and stuff like that. But honestly, I just feel like, in general, ignoring the legalities of borders and things like that, people should be able to move away from places that are horrible to them. But again, that's also money, privilege, your passport privilege, like what citizenships you have privilege. So there's a lot of things that go into that on a legal basis. But in terms of just getting out of places that are shitty to you, yes, 100%. So... David Johnson, heart to you, said, I always stand with the LGBTQ community. I stand with you. Thank you very much, David. You are lovely, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. Why didn't this jump ahead? Brutus, I was just looking. Brutus had a super chat. Brutus, heart to you, said, would you think of a war room Discord server for leftist to discuss strategies? Maybe have an essayist debaters discuss how to synergize. I mean, yeah, for sure. I'm always down to have communities where people are able to talk. I don't know if you'd call it the war room. But yeah, no, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm in several Discord servers with several different versions and flavors of creators. Like, for example, you all know I'm on Nebula. Nebula has a Discord server that I'm on with the creators on there. Some are more active than others, so I don't know everybody on Nebula, so don't think I'm like somehow chilling up with everybody on Nebula. But people are in there, and we do get advice and talk to each other, and people ask questions about the algorithm and YouTube and stuff like that, so that's helpful. There's a couple others I'm in some trans communities with a couple other that I know some YouTubers are in. So I am always generally down for more communities where people are able to connect and talk and do so privately, and also be free to share advice and things like that. So yeah, I think so too, Brutus. I would 100% be for that. Zab, heart to you. Thank you for all the great content you say. Well, thank you for all your support and being wonderful, Zab. Mwah. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Chloe, yes, what was your super chat? By the way, heart to you. I'm going to give you like all the hearts, all the extra hearts to Chloe. And Pranishka Productions. Probably if I said your name wrong, but hello, fellow Seattleite dweller. But yeah, Chloe, what was your question? I'm gonna quick and Pranishka Productions, heart to you. I just saw that I saw your name pop up, and then I see you gave a super duper chat. Well, heart to you, my friend. Let's see. I'm gonna catch up on the chat. Hearts to you, Sean. I'll see Sean's in a thing. Just trying to see if Chloe's comment. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just checking out. I'm gonna pull up. I need to pull up this another version of the chat because I only have the one because I'm holding up where the chat is at the moment, and I want to quick see what's going on in the chat. Okay, cool. So now I can see the super chats and I see what's going on at the top of the chat. Perfect. Yeah, Chloe, let me know what you said. Also, Chloe, by the way, I didn't say your copy of Conan the Barbarian I got. I meant to send you a picture of it, but it's in the other room. I have the Blu-ray. I'm going to watch it either this weekend or next. This weekend, there's a few movies that I want to watch this weekend that have just come out, like Turning Red and that new Ryan Reynolds movie that I also want to see as well. So I'm going to watch both of those. But if I have a chance, I'll also watch Conan. But Conan is on my list of soon-to-watch movies. So thank you so much for the Blu-ray. I appreciate that, Chloe. But also, Sean, heart to you. You said, Sean says, hearts to you, Jessie. Play STO favorite ship. My favorite ship in all of Star Trek is the NX-01. I have it right over there and hiding behind one of those shelves. I love the NX-01. Easily my favorite ship. I love the look of the NX-01. Followed by the Enterprise E from the Star Trek Next Generation movies. I love that ship. It's so sleek and wonderful. Followed then by the Enterprise from Star Trek Discovery and soon to be Strange New Worlds. Like I love... and the modern Enterprise, which has like some of the look and feel of the Kelvin timeline movies, but they made it much more like classic Enterprise from the original series as well. It's so beautiful. It's so good. I love that ship. As for STO, I actually don't play STO. I want to play STO. I've heard many good things. It's just not the game that I play a bunch of. I should play more of it. And then try and get a job writing on it is what I should do. But yeah, no, I have not played STO. The Expanse rocks, especially. Yes, Pranishka Productions, RT. I agree with you. Wes Chatham. I listened to the podcast Ty and That Guy, which is the podcast with Ty Frank, who was one of the writers of The Expanse, both the show and also the book series. He was one of the two authors that make up the pen name James S.A. Corey. And then Wes Chatham, who is the actor who plays Amos on The Expanse, who Amos is easily the best character on The Expanse. I love him. And yeah, listen to that podcast is so good because they're just two bros. They're very much two bros on that podcast, very much broing out. But they're very sweet and very thoughtful, especially, I mean, both of them are. But Wes has so many great thoughts on acting and what it means to be an actor. And then Ty Frank brings such a great perspective as a writer and an author. I learned so much from him. I'll listen to that podcast about writing scripts and what the act of writing scripts on an active television show and the concessions you make and the things you have to do. And then also him being someone who didn't grow up or has a lot of knowledge about production, but giving advice on what it's like to run a show, be behind the scenes of the show, to help run that. I learned so much from that podcast. It's a very, very good podcast. And so I would recommend it if you're just a science fiction fan or the Expanse fan and like want to hear the thoughts of science fiction and writing and all that jazz. But if you are also someone like me who is very much into the production element of television and acting, and I'm working to try to be a director, more on that in hopefully a few weeks. But like I want to direct films and work on films. And so because of that, that podcast it teaches me a lot. So I would very much recommend that podcast. Charlie Marlowe, heart to you. You said, estimate, how many eggs have this channel cracked? I can't tell you. I know I've cracked some eggs on this channel, whether it be me or just the community and things like that. I like to be careful to, my channel may have been a catalyst for people learning that they were trans, but like people learned that's their own journey, and I just may have been the representation that they came across. So I am thankful for any help I may have given, but I always want to make sure people know that it was them who did the work, and that they should be proud of themselves for having their eggs cracking. It's important that I think people know that they did it themselves, and that they should feel proud of that fact. So I don't know. I can't tell you, but I do know that I've been helpful in that front. But if it wasn't me, hopefully it would have been someone else. And so I'm glad to have been part of it. But it is on you because you deserve to be proud of it. Let's see. Have you tried reading, CMDR said, have you tried reading Project Hail Mary written by Andy Weir? Yes, I actually love that book. I actually did a review of it. If you're curious on my thoughts on Project Hail Mary, I did a whole video review of it over on my secondary channel, Jessie Gender After Dark. I loved it. I thought it was a very fun book. I wouldn't put Project Hail Mary as like a favorite, but it's very good. It's a lot of fun. I love the way he writes like characters and alien species and relates to them. Actually, speaking of that, Lindsay Ellis, I actually just finished reading the second book in Lindsay Ellis's series. I finished it about a month or two ago. And thank you, Carlos, and if I'll thank heart to you, thank you. I will check out the GoFundMe. I'll send it out once I'm done with the stream, so I'll check it out. But thank you. I actually like Project Hail Mary better than The Martian. That's my thoughts on it, Matthew Gray. I actually really liked it a lot better than The Martian. The book, not the movie. Mostly because they're actually very similar. Project Hail Mary and The Martian are actually very similar books. They actually feature like a guy in space having to deal with what's on hand with unprecedented situations. Like he only has what he has in space, so he has to like problem solve. It's a very similar books type. Project Hail Mary is much more science fiction-y than The Martian. Martian is science fiction-y too, but it's much more grounded in today. Whereas Project Hail Mary is a little bit like just a few years in the future problem. So it's much more science fiction, but the basic idea. But the difference, I think the major difference, besides just that, besides the like slightly more futurism setting of Project Hail Mary, is the character of in Project Hail Mary. I think is much better written. Mark Watney, who's a good character, functional character, but that book is much more plot focused, whereas Project Hail Mary is plot focused, but the character feels much more fleshed out as a character than Mark Watney was in The Martian. So I really like the book. I like both of them. They're both great. But I think Project Hail Mary is just slightly better. I wouldn't necessarily put it as like a favorite, but it's a very, very solid good. A very, very solid book is what I mean. I have not read that spell. This is how you lose the time war. I've never read that. That sounds, just on title alone, that sounds like something I'm going to copy and paste that. That sounds like something I would want to see. Why does this... my stupid chat just constantly jumps me forward. It's annoying. Sorry, I'm going to try and run through some of these super chats really quick because I'm behind. Meow Nan, Heart you said, if you flee to Canada, be aware there are some places that aren't LGBTQ friendly as well. 3/4 of Western Canada styles of white supremacy and turf issue. Yes, for sure. That is also a problem. I get the vibe that generally Canada is more accepting than the United States for LGBTQ people, but obviously both countries are built on very problematic bases. As you know, America, to my awareness, I'm not the biggest Canada history person, but America much more clearly built upon statutes of white supremacy going back to like slavery and that being a major issue in the founding of the United States. But Canada was not exempt from that either. They were also had roots in the colonialism of the British Empire, and so there's still elements of that as well. And so that's going to be playing out both in terms of the government, and then also the society, and then also for Indigenous folks in Canada as well, I know is absolutely horrific. I mean, not that the United States has a good history or clean history with that either, but just some of the stuff that I know is being talked about when it comes to Indigenous folks and the really horrible things that are going on there. And the history of that is well worth mentioning as well. Canada by no means a completely safe place for anyone, and sadly, while there are certainly gradations of better and worse throughout the world, in terms of just a single country that is 100% LGBTQ friendly, sadly, I don't think that you're going to find that. It's frustrating. There are places that are 100% LGBTQ friendly, usually within LGBTQ communities or adjacent communities. But in terms of countries as a whole, most not. And that just goes to the issues with capitalism and, countries and how we build up borders and things like that. Heart to you, the Molly J. Do you like superhero novels? My first novel is an LGBT superhero book called Scatter just dropped. If you'd be interested in a copy, yeah. I mean, I can't promise I could read it. I mostly read audiobooks, not because I don't want books, but if you want to send me a copy and I get a chance, I would love to read it. But I cannot guarantee I will. But I do love superhero novels. Dreadnought. Dreadnought is a transgender superhero novel that I loved. If you're looking for a superhero novel that is trans focused, really, I cannot recommend Dreadnought enough. Also, I would recommend I Am Not Your Sidekick, which also features a trans masculine character who is, the whole series is good. The second book in the series focuses on the trans masculine character. So I would highly recommend both of those books. Excellent superhero novels that feature trans people in either central roles or at some point in central roles. So, Kenya, thank you so much for your super chat. Heart to you, my friend. You said, regarding fantasy, what do you think of Brandon Sanderson? Also, your great videos help me figure out my identity and feel more comfortable. Oh, I'm so glad, Kenya. I appreciate that. You're wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. You said, regarding fantasy, what do you think of Brandon Sanderson? I love Brandon Sanderson. To be fair, I have not read a bunch. I have read his entire Mistborn series, which I loved. I adore Mistborn. Mistborn is like everything that I love about fantasy. It has a hard magic system with clear rules. I love hard magic systems so much. It also is dealing with like politics, especially the second book, but the first book as well. The third as well, but slightly less so. But the third, it's all about like house politics and things like that, and all those books. It's also really clever. The basic pitch of the series, for the first book at the very least, is what if the Dark Lord had won in like a Lord of the Rings fantasy setting? And what if the Dark Lord had won, and it's hundreds of years later, the Dark Lord still rules supreme, and you have a team of magical, essentially bank robbers, and they try to pull a heist in order to bring down the Dark Lord's regime. So it's basically magic fantasy heist trying to bring down the Dark Lord. I won't go into more than that because the way that story builds out is so fascinating, so good. There's a lot of politics, a lot of like really cool world building elements, and again, the hard magic system is phenomenal. So I cannot recommend that series enough. As for beyond that with Brandon Sanderson, I actually haven't read much of his stuff. I want to read more of the Stormlight Archives and things like that. Right now, I'm currently in the middle of reading the Discworld novels and the Wheel of Time novels, which I do know eventually become Brandon Sanderson novels towards the end because sadly Robert Jordan passed away and Brandon Sanderson took that over. So I like Brandon Sanderson, what I've read. I love his worlds and fantasy systems. I do. I think I generally like him, but I can't speak too much about him outside of Mistborn. And I do want to get to like Stormlight Archives and stuff eventually, but I haven't gotten to him just yet. Just popping on here real quick. Just want to see something cool. But speaking of Brandon Sanderson, though, I know he had the huge Kickstarter, like the highest Kickstarter ever recently, which is ridiculous because he wrote 4 freaking books during the pandemic, which, like, dear heavens, like, I know I write a lot, like, my videos are long as hell. I'm a fast writer in general, but to write novels, like, I write nonfiction, which, like, nonfiction isn't easy for sure. There's a lot of work and research into it, but, like, fiction's hard, man. Fiction's really hard. So for him to, like, just plop out book after book after book is ridiculous. Very much like, just showing off at some point, but good on him. So I do plan on reading more Brandon Sanderson. I'm very excited for that. But yeah, from what I've read, especially the Mistborn books, the first 3 Mistborn books, some of my favorite fantasy of all time. I love him. So yeah, very much I love Brandon Sanderson. Fernanda, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. I just want to say your Brazil fans love you, and I love to have Jessie's wallpapers. Well, thank you very much, Fernanda. I appreciate that. You're lovely. Mwah. Heart to you, and everyone who's from Brazil. I know there's a lot of you from Brazil, so heart to you, all my Brazilian friends and family members and community. You are also loved and adored very, very much. So sending love to you, Fernanda. Let's see. Pranashka Productions again. Amos, aka Tommy. Yes. Amos is. I love Amos. I just want to give Amos a big hug. I just want to give him a huge hug. Let's see, Chloe. Yes, thank you again. Sorry that I keep missing your super chats. The first SC is about a trans woman filmmaker making the new Red Sonja movie. First SC. I don't know what that means, but I'm excited about it. Like, I know that, I'm pretty sure I heard that the trans woman filmmaker is making Red Sonja, which makes me very excited. But I actually don't know the exact context of that. But yeah. My trans friend and I host a podcast and we joke about how to basic eggs. That's hilarious. Dorian, really appreciate this community for giving me one. Well, Dorian, you are loved and appreciated, my friend. I adore you. Wow, my friend. And Carlisle, I saw that before, so I'll mention that. And I'll share out that your GoFundMe later. But Punk Rock Stars, heart to you. Hope you're having a good day, Jesse. How do you feel about Beardy Pike and the new Strange New Worlds trailer? I did a stream yesterday, Punk Rock Zoologist. I did a freaking stream yesterday, and oh my god, I had a problem. I had a problem yesterday. Sorry, I'm going to rant about this for a second. I did a stream. If you want my reactions on my secondary channel, I put up my live reactions to the Star Trek Strange New Worlds trailer. But I reacted live to the Strange New Worlds trailer and then the Kenobi trailer. And you cannot do this to me, science fiction. You cannot give me sexy Silver Fox Anson Mount and sexy Silver Fox Ian McGregor in the same day, and both of those shows, Obi-Wan and Strange New Worlds, are gonna both premiere in frickin' May, and I'm gonna be dead. By May, I will be dead. I'm gonna watch those shows and I'm gonna be like, it is too attractive. Like frickin' Anson Mount in that trailer, riding out on his gosh darn horse with that frickin' beard. Like, what is that? What is that? Not cool. Not cool, Star Trek. Gonna make me freaking die. Gonna make me freaking die from how freaking attractive you're making Pike. And then also my boy Kenobi, like Ian McGregor back. Oh, I'm so excited for Ian McGregor. And also giving us live action Inquisitors too. Like live action Inquisitors I'm so excited. Like the Inquisitors are cool as hell. Like both in Rebels and in Jedi Fallen Order, they are the coolest things about those games and stories. And I'm so excited to see live action Inquisitors. So hopefully Kenobi will be a much more cohesive experience than Book of Boba Fett was. And I'm up and down on like I like Mandalorian. I don't love Mandalorian, but I like Mandalorian. I was very up and down on Boba Fett. So I'm hoping Kenobi will be a much better experience overall, because I've been kind of like up and down very much so on Star Wars. Much more so than I am with Star Trek, which I have issues with modern Star Trek, but I'm much more consistently high on as a whole. So. Oh, thank you, Carmen, for sharing the video. I appreciate that. My thing keeps jumping ahead. All right, next super chat. Dorian R. You said, I'm positive read Black Swan by Indigenous. Yes, I want to read more Indigenous authors. I've actually tried to make a point. There's an Indigenous horror movie or horror novel that just came out that I forget the name of off the top of my head that I put on my reading list that I want to write. I'm trying to read less books from, like, nothing against cis white male dudes, like I love my Brandon Sanderses and all that, but I'm trying to make an active push to read more books from women, people of color, and different communities, queer folks as well. So I'm trying to do an active job of that as well. So because cis white dudes have tended to dominate most spaces, especially fantasy, but in most spaces. And that's starting to change, so I want to read more. Also, the Poppy War is like one I want to read soon too. Super Desi, heart to you. Hello, Jessie. I hope you get plenty of Jessie time soon. You're a hardworking woman. Well, thank you very much, Super Desi. Well, number one, I'm going to Mission Chicago soon, and then I'm hoping to, I haven't announced this yet, but I'll say it here. I'm hoping to take a little break in the near future, just take a few weeks off just to like recoup myself and take care of myself. But I'll talk about more about that when it happens. I'm trying to figure out the exact timing of it. But then I also have a few videos too on the horizon that are big. Like my Sex and Star Trek video, I keep wanting to finish, but I've been so busy with other stuff. So it's shot, it's in the process of being edited, but it's going to take a lot of time. So I'm going to need to take a break from stuff just to get that done. But yeah, thank you very much, Super Desi. Do you see people complaining about the look of the Inquisitor and Cad Bane? Star Wars fans have it easy. Yeah, no, Cad Bane, I had no problem with. Cad Bane the Inquisitors looked slightly different from the Rebels appearance, but for translation live action looked fairly good. And Cad Bane, like, freaking 1-to-1. Like, hot damn, you would not have thought Cad Bane would have ever been done in live action, but he looked, problems with Boba Fett aside. I had many problems with the structure of the Boba Fett show, but Cad Bane looked freaking cool in it. Except for his little, like, squinty, he had, like, a squinty, like, very squinty teeth. He was very snarly. He was very snarly, where he's a little less snarly in animation. But, with those teeth that the actor had to wear, I'm sure it was, like, very hard to, like, do anything but snarl. So that was my literal only complaint about the Cad Bane look. Otherwise, he looked and sounded fantastic. A little bit snarly, but other than that, he's just great. Let's see. John Dorsey, you said, with me knowing that you read fantasy, now knowing that you read, I have to get you here and recommend R.A. Salvatore's Drizzt novels in the Companion of the Hall. I actually own those. I own the first 6 Drizzt novels. I have them as compendiums. So I actually own the first 6 Drizzt novels, and I plan to get to them because I do want to read more of those books. I know they're not the same thing, but they're adjacent to the Dragonlance books, which are books that I really love. So I do plan on reading the Drizzt books at some point in the near future. So you could easily do a trans version of Suana. Yes. Ooh, that would be kind of fun. I love The Dark Tower is a great series. I love The Dark Tower. Heart to you, Ava. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, loved your video on Arcane. Which characters would you like to see more of? Also, I heard you have you heard much of League of Legends music? I have a soft spot for KDA. I've been listening to the Arcane soundtrack a lot. Like quite a lot. So I've been loving that Arcane soundtrack a bunch. I haven't listened to like League of Legends, the game soundtrack specifically, Eva, but I have been listening to the Arcane specific soundtrack. Arcane did what I love. It is the type of filmmaking that I love the most. I mean, not only is this big branching fantasy politics stuff, but I think it speaks to like a little bit of my what's the word? Hypersensitivity to sensory feelings. But as an autistic person, whenever a TV show swells into music and does like a music video sort of feel to it, I always get very enamored with it, like any of those sequences. And I think Arcane just had some of the most visual, wonderful sequences set to music that I absolutely loved. I think it does speak to like something being on the autism spectrum, because I also I resonate the same way with Sense8. Sense8 has a lot of those same moments where it's just like a lot of very like music video sensory moments with the story, and those are some of my favorite moments in all of filmmaking. I love Sense8 for a large reason for those things. Mystic Mind, please tell me no, Mystic Mind, please bug me about it, at me with your question, because I might have missed your super chat, so apologies if I did. The way this chat works, it sometimes jumps me ahead and sometimes it skips me ahead of some super chats, so I apologize if I missed anyone's super chat. I am on the autism spectrum, Rick. I've done a few videos on it. But yes, in terms of characters, I want to learn more about all of them. Because I'm blanking, I'm just going to cheat because it's been a hot minute since I've watched Arcane, and names is like, y'all know me. Jessie is bad with names. I can tell you all about the characters, but I can't remember character names for some reason. So I'm just going to quick pull it up so I remember who the characters are. I mean, Victor. Oh, I love Victor. Okay, I know people are like, Victor's not gay. Victor's so gay. Victor's so gay for Jace. Like, the gayest character for Jace. I know it's very much coded. I know people can read that it's not, but I think Victor is hella gay for Jace. Like, hella gay. You know, the character that I was sad to lose was Silco. For me, Silco, and I see your thing, Mystic Mind, so I'll read it in just a second. Silco, I really loved. I loved a character who had a very complex backstory, that he was clearly the villain, but I understood his point of view really, really hard. So I would have, no spoilers for Arcane, but I wish we could have gotten to see more of Silco, because I really liked his character quite a bit. I have read The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. It's really, really good. It is a very weird book. I have read all of Patrick Rothfuss' book. I'm looking forward to that 3rd book whenever it comes out. Though I think he started to tease that. Did I miss any other super chats before? Yep, here's a couple more. I'm just going to quick run through these just because I'm running out of time, so... because I'm actually going out to dinner with a friend tonight. So, Chloe, hard to use, said super chat. Also, remember that Conan was mixed in mono, so select the option in the audio section. Thank you very much. I won't forget. Dorian R. Garrus or Beard Pike? Why would you do that to me, Dorian? I probably have to go with Beard Pike. Just because I love my boy Garrus. But Beard Pike. It's got to be Beard Pike. So I think Beard Pike is definitely up there. Ewan McGregor is the Scottish Chris Pine. By the way, Edward Beto, hard to you. You said Edward McGregor is the Scottish Chris Pine, a third-step actor in disguise, a young take on an old character. Yes, I can very much see that. Very much see that. So much so. Let's see. I want to make sure I get to Mystic's question very quickly, and then I also have a couple more. All right. So these are the last super chats that if you send in a super chat, I'll read it from here on out. I'm gonna head to dinner after that, but I'm gonna read the ones that are here so far, and I'll quick say bye to everybody. Yes. Oh my gosh, Claudia Black would be great in Lower Decks. Sebastian. Anyways, Mystic Mind Analysis. I'm a genderqueer fantasy nerd and animation lover. What are your favorite, some of your favorite animated films, and have you seen The Flight of the Dragons? I have not seen Flight of the Dragons. Favorite animated animated films, I love the studio that made Wolfwalker. They also did Song of the Sea. Those films are so freaking beautiful. I adore those. If you have not looked at, I forget the name of the studio, but if you look up the movies, The Song of the Sea and Wolfwalker. They also did one, I think it's The Secret of the Kells was the other one that they did. Some of the most beautiful animation that you will find today. It is so good. So good. Absolutely beautiful. I cannot recommend those movies enough. I mean, this was a bit, I usually like to recommend smaller films, but you can't talk about animated films nowadays without talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like, that is one of the best films ever. In my opinion, it's definitely in like a top 10 film of all time for me. I love that. And then if I'm just talking about some pure nostalgia for me, The Great Mouse Detective. I love The Great Mouse Detective. It's a Disney movie, but it's like, not to say that Disney movies are bad by any means, but they tend to be more flatter in a lot of senses. But The Great Mouse Detective is like creepy and scary, has this like horror vibe to it, but also has that Sherlock Holmesian sort of fun to it. I'll check out the Flight of the Dragons, especially if it's ranking best, because I was actually going to recommend after The Great Mouse Detective. Love that movie. But the last movie I was going to mention is The Hobbit, which I don't know if Rankin Bass did The Hobbit, the original one. I think he did, but I'm not 100% on that. I know he did the Lord of the Rings one later, but it's certainly related to Rankin Bass in a lot of ways. The animated The Hobbit movie I really love. Down, down to Goblin Town, down, down to Goblin Town. Ho, ho, my lad. Ho, ho, my lad. Yeah, so I love that Hobbit movie. Kestra Davis, heart to you. You said, while we're doing fantasy book recommendations, The Deathgate Cycle by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, who are the writers of the Dragonlance books. Yes, I'll check that out. The Deathgate Cycle. I'll write that down. Save that. And then also Jonathan Love, heart to you. The Blade itself by Joe Abercrombie, some of the best characters in sci-fi. Yes, that's actually a series that I've heard a lot about. And Incarnations of Immortality. Oh man, I wish there was an Incarnation, On a Pale Horse. Yes, Dorian. Blade itself, I definitely want to read. And then Incarnations of Immortality. I actually read that as a kid. I loved Piers Anthony's Incarnations of Immortality series. So good. The first book, On a Pale Horse, I love, but it's Bearing a Phantom Hourglass, or it's either Bearing a Phantom Hourglass or Bearing an Hourglass, I forget which one. The second book, which was like very much pulling from the King Arthur Merlin thing, where the character lives back in time, but he added like a new twist on it in a really cool way. The Piers Anthony's Incarnation of Immortality series is such a great mix of fantasy and science fiction. You see so rarely like things that actually like actively mix fantasy. Like The Wheel of Time, to a degree, has science fiction elements in it, but they're not really foregrounded in any super way. Whereas Incarnation of Immortality is very much like, this is a science fiction world with a ton of fantasy elements in it, like magic, and like the devil is literally a character that exists in this world. So it's a very, very cool series. Very, very cool series. I highly recommend it. I really like it. I need to go back and reread it. It's been a hot minute. I read it as a kid, way back as a kid, but I have not read it since then. So I should go back and reread it at some point. Anyways, everybody, I'm going to head out because I'm going out to a sushi dinner with a friend. Should be a good time. I am very excited for that. I love you all. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Announcements. No video tomorrow because we're doing it every other week, so there will be a video in next week. And then from there, also Saturday, I'll be doing my drunk game stream. I haven't 100% decided what game I'm going to play. I feel like I'm feeling more Horizon because I finally finished Dark Souls 2. And so I'm debating whether I want to get into Elden Ring or Horizon. And I feel like I want a little bit of a break from the Dark Souls stuff. And I think that everybody's playing Elden Ring right now. So I'll just be a little bit different. We'll play some Horizon. Or I might end up playing something completely different. We'll shall see. But yes, I believe I'll probably end up playing some Horizon Forbidden West on Saturday. So keep an eye out for that. We'll get drunk. We'll play some games Saturday night. Other than that, should be a fun time. Thank you, Catherine Lambeth. By the way, Catherine Lambeth, I saw your messages. I will get back to you. Sorry, it's just been a busy day, but I will get back to you, Catherine. Anyways, love ya. See you all. Mwah. I have a wonderful evening, and I will see you on Saturday. Oh, and thank you, Dorian. Oh, thank you, Dorian. That's really, I appreciate that.